The category is What the Trans, Darling?
Well, hello and welcome to What the Trans.
What the Trans?
Yes, indeed. It's us, another delightful episode, coming to you nice and early this week, because boy, there's been a lot going on.
This is all Kemi Badenoch's fault. Blame her. We're imposing upon you with new content, but in reality, some people would say, yay, more content, but it's like, we've got more content.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Blaming Kemi Badenoch for quite a lot of stuff, as we do later on in the episode, so stick around for that. But yes, we decided to do an episode a week early because honestly, there's just been too much stuff. We are coming to you like 6 days early or so, and we will probably try and get another episode out before Christmas, but then we will take a little well-earned break over the festive season, as is my want. But fun times.
Fun times.
So, hopefully this episode will be informative and perhaps a little bit entertaining, mostly because of all of the creative swearing. So how have you been, Alex? What have you been up to?
I've been good. It's during payday previously, I got myself this really nice kaleidoscope sort of filter that sort of triples and quadruples the amount of stuff that's on your lens to create this kaleidoscopic effect. And I was like, what if I put a blahage with a trans flag behind it? Wouldn't that be the most brilliant thing?
Have you done that? Is that on the Instagram?
Not quite. I've sort of gave it a try yesterday, but then the effect wasn't quite what I was hoping for, so I need to experiment a bit. It's sort of like, let's say it looked like the blahage was ripping itself apart in the reality of space and time. It wasn't like a gory rip itself apart, but...
You've been watching too much Doctor Who.
Oh, indeed. That was yesterday. You've got to check it out on the Patreon, everyone. I'm gonna plug it again, because it's got some good stuff. We've got to record that as well tomorrow. We've got lots of content for you, everyone.
We're referring, of course, to Who the Trans, which is the Doctor Who focused episodes that Alyx and Ben are making in the wake of each of the episodes for the 60th anniversary special.
Oh, exactly, and I think we're eyeing up the Christmas as well. But enough from me. How about you? How are you been?
Good, yes. Mostly been avoiding gluten, and that's sort of helped things quite well. You know, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was going to talk about, and I've just completely forgotten what it was. Oh, we did. One of my partners plays the flute, and we gathered a few people round at our place last night to listen to a little recital by, obviously, Nadia on the flute and another friend of ours on the Portuguese guitar. So they played a couple of festive songs and a few Portuguese classics. And it was really nice. You know, it was just one of those nice kind of wholesome evenings where my flat was full of trans people. It was great. Loved it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, we've got to find some ways of staving off the absolute madness that we're about to start talking about. Yeah, it was lovely. So that's been the highlight of my week, I think. And I've got a busy week coming up. I've got several different medical appointments, and I've got a meeting tomorrow with the Trans Learning Partnership and all sorts of other stuff that I'm keeping myself busy with. But it's all in 1 week. It's all been compressed into this week coming up. So
it's going to be one big mad week of stuff that just is throwing stuff at. Yeah, and also the fluting stuff sounds really cool. Like, I remember Nadia.
She's very good.
Yeah, I remember Nadia, I think I did at one point, mentioning that she felt like it was where sometimes she played the flute and was a bit like Picard at the end of one episode of Star Trek.
The Inner Light, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty cool. And
it was nice and extremely middle class, so I felt very at home.
Oh, indeed. Doctor Who, kaleidoscopic blahages, and fluting the day away.
As is our want. However, we should probably crack on, because boy, there's a lot of stuff that we've crammed into this episode. And so we start off with Liz Truss, Madame Shortley herself, record holder for the shortest tenure of Prime Minister ever. Liz Truss has come up with another way to try and make the lives of trans people in the UK even more miserable. Thanks, Liz! She did this by using a private members' bill, we'll come back to those, and she called it the Health and Equality Act's Amendment Bill. Now, on the same day that she presented this bill, she had an article published in the Daily Mail where she said it will protect single-sex spaces by amending the Equality Act to clarify that the protections it affords to sex unambiguously refer to biological sex, because of course trans people are synthetic. She also mentioned extreme woke ideology, an absence of all common sense, and she talked about how she wanted to protect women and girls from an increasingly divisive woke agenda. Now, the actual bill as presented would bar trans women from using public toilets or changing rooms. It would ban under 18s from accessing any gender-confirming treatment, and it would also be then illegal for teachers to use a child's preferred pronouns and we assume name. So once again, rather than choose to make any improvements to the lives of people in the UK, Truss has chosen to lash out at 0.5% of the population. Obviously, there's been a backlash to Truss's proposed bill, with Stonewall saying that the bill appears to be a knee-jerk reaction to a moral panic rather than something that would benefit the general public in any way, and Mermaid stating that they are disgusted by this blatant attempt to roll back hard-won rights for the trans community, which, yeah, us too, honestly. So did you see this?
Oh, yeah, I saw it on the start of the weekend and I was like, oh, that's going on the pod. But it's just at the last stand at trying to claw back some relevance to an increasingly irrelevant MP, in my eyes.
Well, it's more culture war bullshit from a government that we all really hope is on its way out.
Oh, we really hope so.
And a lot of people have pointed out that this is very much a United States-style bathroom bill, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good point. It is literally a bathroom bill against trans femmes. I mean, it was specifically towards trans femmes as well, and not trans men.
Yep.
So it's very specifically pointing at that trans misogynistic line of doing it, that it just indicates culture warring and just complete, like, they can't bring in mentions of trans men because the whole argument then just falls apart of what they're talking about. It's not even an argument.
Yeah.
She's just being blatant evil at that point.
Pretty much. Yeah. And, although we're not entirely sure whether this bill is going to be debated in Parliament, there's no guarantee. And given Truss's track record with how good she is at politics, clocking in at just 49 days, so a little bit over a month. There was a lettuce that lasted longer than she did. Given that's how that went for her, how good is this going to go? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, there's no guarantee it will be debated, as you said. It was like 16th on a list of private members' bills.
Yep, 16 of 20.
16 of 20, so that's very low down on the order as well. So it's like, well, and given the amount of time that's left in this parliamentary session, considering the elections possibly coming up, we just don't know. It's like, there's not many signatories to it either, because sometimes you can get lots of signatories, but it's just 18 people. That's something as well. And if its own right, the conversion therapy bill that got signed by 50, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was another bit.
Yeah, which again, we're going to come back to that.
Yeah, that's coming later.
Yes, indeed. So there's not a great deal of support for it. And I don't think, if it is debated, I think there's going to be quite a lot of people shouting it down. But as we've seen before, and will again, the people that know the least are the ones that shout the loudest and for the longest time.
Oh, indeed.
But I'm optimistic that this won't actually get anywhere, I think, given who it's from.
Oh, definitely.
She's considered to be so uselessly toxic that I doubt she's going to gather very much support for it. And 18 people is nowhere near enough for a bill to actually go through.
Oh, exactly. The only thing that she seems to be popular in is when it was the party conference, but that was only like the membership of the Tory party rather than the MPs itself. Because no one wants to be anywhere bloody near her. Because you saw 49 days, the economy basically crashed the moment she stood in power.
And the Queen died.
Oh, and the Queen died. Like, because I think I saw a joke of someone saying she looked at Queen Elizabeth and said, "There can only be one Liz."
Oh, God.
So maybe Liz Truss killed the Queen as well.
That's, well, just to clarify, that is not an accusation that we're
No, it's not an
making. We're not
accusation.
saying, this is meant in jest, simply pointing out that Liz Truss didn't really have a good time when she was Prime Minister. But yes, the economy cratered so badly, didn't it? It was just kind of hilarious if it didn't contribute to the ongoing cost of living crisis that, again, the Tories aren't doing anything about because they're spending all their time hating on trans people.
Doing exactly what we're going to be talking about in a little bit, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. So let's move on then, shall we? Let's move ahead to some of that, getting to what we're talking about later on.
Yes.
If that's a sentence that makes sense.
Yeah, something that also doesn't make sense is Sarah Jane Baker's continued incarceration.
Yes, indeed.
So on Tuesday, we went down to Marble Arch, where we met with Anita and the Free Sarah Jane Baker campaign, where they were holding a protest outside the office of the Practice Plus group for doctors who are denying Sarah the hormones she desperately needed. So we spoke to Anita to learn more. All right, I'm at the Free Sarah Jane Baker protest, and I'm with Anita, Sarah's partner, she, her. So how's Sarah at the moment? I think everyone's probably very curious to hear about.
Sarah at the moment was saying to me she's not feeling physically very good because she's getting a lot of hot flushes and night sweats and sort of muscle weakness and fatigue, I think, are the main things that are bothering her, and all of those things are as a result of the lack of estrogen. So that's really kind of bothering her physically a lot at the moment. But she's trying to sort of cope and stay as positive as she can.
I think you were speaking to her during the over the phone and such, and during the protest. And I suppose with all the stress of Sarah being in prison and such, how are you feeling about all this at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always sort of quite up and down. It feels really bizarre. It just, I think when she was first arrested, I was like, are they really going to keep her in prison for this? And it just felt really unreal. And now obviously they have. So it's just a really strange time, I guess. I mean, she's in limbo because she's just waiting for a parole hearing, but there's no definite date for that, and obviously you never know for sure how that's going to go. So there's no good sort of definite end date. And for me, she's my partner. We have a life together, and I feel I'm kind of in limbo a lot as well. I mean, it's lovely everyone that's come here today for the protest, and everybody's support is lovely, and I know that makes Sarah feel a lot better as well. She was hearing some of the chanting and things. She can't talk to people directly. She can only talk to people that she's registered to talk to. So unfortunately, she couldn't talk to people directly, but she knew that people were here, and I think that cheers her up as well.
Oh, exactly. We can't get her over the speakerphone and such. We've just had this protest out here. What's the next stuff for the Sarah Jane Baker campaign to try and help, essentially, and what can people do?
So, I mean, the protest here is about the fact that her prison doctor has stopped her estrogen and is trying to persuade her to take testosterone, because if she took testosterone, she wouldn't be getting all these hot flushes and stuff, because testosterone and estrogen does some of the same things, but obviously if she took the testosterone, then that would, detransition her. So the reason that we are here is because this is Bridgepoint Group PLC, who own the company that the prison doctor is employed by. So it's Practice Plus Group is the company that's got contracts to provide healthcare in lots of prisons and detention centres in England, and that company itself is owned by Bridgepoint PLC. So that's why we're having a protest here today to say, both companies are making profits out of the NHS from taxpayers' money, and they're doing things, that's making my partner more unwell, and it feels like it's political, that this is actually trying to get a trans woman to detransition medically when they're in a very vulnerable position in prison. So Bridgepoint says they do the right thing. Practice Plus Group says that they provide excellent health care to people in secure accommodation. I don't think either of those statements is true from what I've seen. It's always looking to see what people are interested in and want to do, but I think there's probably scope to do a bit more to draw attention to this. I'm always concerned that it might not just be Sarah in this position. There might be other trans prisoners that are also not getting the health care that they need while they're in prison. So I think it's NHS England contracts out to these companies, so it might be worth letting them know as well about what's happening. So I think it's continuing to try and raise awareness. I think what's happened to Sarah raises issues about the right to free speech, the right to protest, about trans rights, about the fact that it's not really right that government ministers interfere in these matters. Things, it's just not right. So I think all of those issues are relevant to lots of people. So it's not just about Sarah. So we'll see what other people want to do going forward. It's coming up to Christmas. So it might be after Christmas. But perhaps taking this to people maybe in the justice departments of the government or to around NHS England and bodies like that might be something to do next.
Oh, exactly. And you've also got your Instagram and your GoFundMe as well, haven't you? Where if people want to get in contact to see what they can work with you to do as well, isn't there? So
there's lots of things that people can do ongoing. We've had good support, and I guess I want to emphasise that there's a lot of people that are putting a lot of work into the campaign as well, and we've got, like you say, we've got a crowdfunder. I'm not sure what Sarah's housing situation is going to be like when she comes out. So that's partly why money from the crowdfund is really important, to give her that bit of security when she does come out, as well as carrying on producing flyers and stickers and everything for the campaign. There's an open letter, which a lot of people have signed, and there's also motions of people involved in trade unions, Labour Party branches or other organisations that put forward policies. There's model motions, letters, template letter you can write to MPs, and there's also an email address people can write letters of support to Sarah via that, which, all those things do really cheer her up and help her to keep going.
Yeah, and improve morale. Exactly. Thank you very much. I think that's brilliant, and there's lots of stuff to do, so do it.
Sarah loves you all. Thanks everyone for your support.
I'm astounded that she's still in prison, given that she was found to be innocent. Like, what's the rationale for that?
So what Anita said in terms of why she's still in prison, apparently there's still a big backlog of the probation hearings and such at the moment.
See.
So at the moment we're just waiting for the 3 months before she can then get the hearing to get out, essentially. But now she's stuck in prison, innocent of...
Stuck in a men's prison.
Stuck in a men's sex offenders prison as well, which is horrific. It's just utterly horrifying, and I really hope that there is going to be a statutory review into what led to this event. I mean, it's just, how did it happen? And it was quite clear it was politically motivated. Let's just get it out there.
Yeah, and I think, as Anita has pointed out when we've had her on the podcast before, I think it's important to get involved with this campaign, and so if you're able to lend your support by sharing it out, letting people know about it, please do, because it's so far beyond a miscarriage of justice. This is absolutely a politically motivated... She's a political prisoner, and I think the thing is with the probationary review, why are we talking about probation? She was found innocent.
Yeah, exactly. And then the probation officers who got her in the first place was like, yeah, we don't need to get you incarcerated for this, until Suella fucking Braverman said, chuck her in prison.
Yep, pretty much. Maybe that's what we should title the episode.
Yeah, just
yeah, absolutely.
Sickle as shit. Ugh. Episode 95.
Yeah, well, let's rather than just spending the rest of the episode going ugh and let's just move on. So, as we mentioned, we'd come back to conversion therapy, and a debate actually did take place on December 6th. So, sticking with the subject of private members' bills, on the 6th, a debate about conversion therapy did take place in the House of Commons after a members' bill was introduced by Labour MP Lloyd Russell-Moyle. This aimed to prohibit practices which are intended to change or suppress a person's sexuality, or change or suppress a person to or from being transgender. Now, the bit that jumps out at me immediately is the to or from part, and we will come back to that. When the debate took place, though, it quite quickly degraded into scaremongering and misinformation. Alba MP for Kirkcaldy and Cowdenbeath Neil Hanvey took up 8 minutes with a statement that included the true scandal that needs to be addressed is the medical and surgical conversion of young lesbians and gay males by affirming and transing away the gay. And followed up by getting into an argument with Christian Wakeford, an MP who crossed the floor from the Tories to Labour last year and accused his former colleagues of betraying the LGBTQ community. He said banning all forms of so-called conversion therapy is the right and moral thing to do. A ban on conversion therapy is not woke, left-wing, or for snowflakes, or whatever other bizarre terms certain people opposed to it want to offer up this week. It is not complicated, as some have made it out to be. There has been a failure of leadership. It is the right thing to do. Now, Hanvey didn't agree and kept dragging the debate backwards and talking about trans rights rather than talking about conversion therapy, as did the SNP's Jonah Cherry, who has made no secret of her gender-critical views in the past, saying it is really very common for young girls to want to be boys. Some of them grow up to be lesbians, some of them grow up to be trans, and some of them grow up to be straight, but they need time to grow up before they make irreversible decisions. Again, not really about conversion therapy. In fact, the aforementioned Wakeford said how this conversation keeps descending to an anti-trans position is wrong, which, once again, yeah, it is.
It's just utterly crazy. And as he said about the Alba MP, transing the gay away. What the fuck is that sentence? It's just utterly preposterously stupid of a thing to say. Transing the gay away. Just say that a few times. That sounds utterly stupid.
Yeah, indeed. But then the thing is, trans people tend to be really gay because the safe thing to do is date other trans people, weirdly.
Oh, exactly.
That's what I do. And more or less exclusively have done since I transitioned. I'm pretty sure I saw some statistics which shows that nearly half of trans people are still gay. Yeah. So we're not transing away the gay, we're finding new and more interesting ways to be gay, I think you'll find.
Being gay to a new...
Being gay in a whole new way, which is a good lyric. Being gay in a whole new way.
Oh, exactly. Being gay in a whole new way. As the sing-songer goes, being
I don't know if there is a singer-songwriter out there who has used that as a lyric, but please do, feel free. We offer that one up.
No, I did find a artist who had who put in the lyrics, be gay, do crimes in it, which was pretty good.
Approved.
The Orion experience. But yeah, as he said, it's utterly weird transing the gay away. But as he said, it just kept going into anti-trans arguments.
So crazy. And there's quite an extensive set of quotes from the Alba MP, relying on the transing away the gay element. So, one large chunk of it is, there are 3 legislative conceits that form part of this movement: gender self-ID, amendments to hate crime and public order legislation, and so-called conversion therapy bans. Self-ID is not about equality, but about promoting supremacy. Hate crime legislation is about silencing the raising of valid safeguarding concerns. And preventing conversion therapy is promoting the very thing it aims to stop. So, we've warned on the podcast, I don't know how many times, that there are going to be some people, bad faith actors, Jonah Cherry and Neil Hanvey among them, who will use a conversion therapy ban as an excuse to say, trans affirmative healthcare is conversion therapy, we should ban that.
We're going to be getting into that in a little bit with even senior member of government on that specific front. That person spent 2/3 of the debate doing that, when it's just utterly stupid. And then going on about self-ID, which in the recent legal case against the UK government about its use of Section 35 to block the Scottish Gender Recognition Act from coming into law, it was found that the UK's use of Section 35 was legal by the Scottish Court of Sessions.
Yeah, that was quite disappointing, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. I mean, we haven't got too many notes on this one, but it's...
Yeah. Well, we'll go into more detail about it next time, I think.
Yeah, that was the plan for the next pod. But again, it's like we were having this glimmer of hope. We mentioned about the judge,
ruling on the more compassionate right side of history kind of side of things, but not this time.
No, exactly. And it is, as you said, very frustrating.
Yeah.
From frustration, I think we've also got some promising.
Yeah, we do have something a little bit more positive to end the news on, so go ahead.
The Green Party has cut their official ties from the Green Party Women group that was disaffiliated, and some say it's for their gender-critical views. However, the Green Party did say that it's due to the way they elected their chair and the fact that they didn't meet the constitutional requirements, though did not provide a timescale of how quickly this could happen. But yeah, that's the situation with the Green Party women thing. It's such a transphobic hate group that it's good to see that they're gone from the Green Party.
Yeah, I've voted for the Green Party once or twice when I haven't been voting tactically. But yeah, I know that the group themselves, Green Party Women, it should be a force for good, but it's just a force for transphobia, and it's nice to see that that's been recognised.
Oh, exactly. I mean, even though the reason was something about how it was, its constitution wasn't...
The transphobia wasn't the reason for the getting dropped. It was, there was a technical reason for it. But
yeah, exactly. But I suppose it's good to see them no longer in there.
But no doubt they've spun it, but they said, oh, we're being silenced.
Half of the article was them just complaining over and over again about them being silenced, he said. So it's a pretty good way to end off the news segment, isn't it, on that front?
Yes, indeed. So, you know how we said that we'd be coming back to the conversion therapy debate? Well, during that self-same debate, we heard from, drumroll please, Kemi Badenoch.
This section can easily be summed up with a question: what did Kemi say in Parliament? In one big speech, she called gender-affirming care conversion therapy and announced that any country with self-ID laws will be blacklisted from having a person's gender recognition certificate from being recognised. During the debate we just mentioned, the Women and Equalities Minister said that gender-affirming care was a form of conversion therapy, citing the case of Kira Bell, but notably omitted mentioning Alice Littman, who died because she couldn't get her gender-affirming care. For those who aren't familiar with who Kira Bell is, Kira was a complainant towards a GIDS service in a judicial review that led to the GIDS no longer prescribing puberty blockers to trans kids. However, after this, the ruling was overturned, so now you can see why Kemi decided to cite Kira's case on this and not Alice Littman. When we polled our audience, 78% of them said they do not think Kemi's idea of a conversion therapy ban will ever come into fruition.
That's a reassuringly large number, isn't it?
Yes. I think a lot of people said stuff like, she's just speaking crap and you can't trust her and doing this stuff anyway, and the timings of Parliament.
Well, it's not a surprise, is it? She's the Women and Equalities Minister, and what she's actually doing is trying to take away a level of equality that trans people have managed to attain. So as soon as she stands up to say anything in a debate that's even adjacent to equality, she'll just immediately put the boots into trans people. So, and this woman is the sodding minister, and I still can't believe that's the case.
Yeah, she's the senior government minister, not some random bastard like Joanna Cherry or Miriam Cates.
Yeah. Obviously, we're not sure that this is going to happen, given the amount of time the government's got before the next election. It seems kind of unlikely, but this is what they're arguing for. And if they win the next election, Goddess forbid, but if that does happen, they will consider that their views have been validated, that they've essentially been, that's what's been voted on. We have a strong mandate to bully trans people even more.
And make our lives worse. I mean, if Kemi had her way and she banned this, people will die.
Yeah. Oh, well, more people
would die. Exactly. That's just the bare facts right there. People, kids, adults, all that. And we predicted this angle that Kemi was going for. Like, ages months ago, years ago. The LGBT Alliance was just angling towards it, going, oh yeah, you should put it in this angle. I'm like, oh, fuck off. And quite frankly, she never met with any LGBTQIA organisations or trans organisations. She just met with the LGBT Alliance because fucking hell. It's just utterly horrific. And honestly, Kemi Badenoch can go fuck herself.
Yeah, it was a struggle to make this script, not quite as sweary. We had to go through it and go, okay, let's get rid of that one and that one and that one. But yes, Kemi Badenoch can indeed go and do one. Which again, if you're listening, security services, that's not an active threat. We're just expressing frustration, as we are legally permitted to do in a society that has free speech in it. If it's got free speech for this nonsense, then surely
we should have ours.
Yeah, exactly. If morality is in the picture, which for Kemi Badenoch it is not.
Well, we're not saying anyone to be punched.
No, definitely not. But yes, we did have to do a lot of editing on this week's script. We were not surprised to see this. We were upset, but not wholly surprised. And arguing that conversion therapy includes trans-affirmative healthcare is something that I've been concerned about I have talked about this as a possibility for years. Literally, I'm pretty sure this first came up and kind of, here's what the anti-trans activists are trying to steer us towards. Here's the angle that they could go for if things get really, really bad. And things have gotten really, really bad. And here we are. And this is what they're trying to argue for. Now, again, there's quite a lot of reasons to think that this won't go anywhere. Won't go through. It's not going to happen. And I do hope so. I really do. But wow. Honestly, I was just disgusted when I read about this.
This isn't the thing that Kemi is saying isn't this bill which is being debated at the moment. The conversion therapy bill that Kemi Badenoch's pushing for is like a separate entity to this conversion therapy bill, which is being made by... So during the debate, it was debating the progressive one, which was not banning gender affirming care, but, being the proper conversion therapy bill. This was Kemi talking about the one she's trying to put through that they haven't for the past 5 years, pretty much. It's literally coming back to her saying transing the gay away again. And it's just utterly stupid. And, Kemi Badenoch said gender dysphoria is complex, but it's an outdated medical term that's no longer in use either.
Yeah, that's what she said, and that is not true, clearly.
Oh, exactly. And it's just so frustrating.
Yeah. Let's steer away from just saying, fuckity shit, bastard, cunting twat. Let's pull back a little from that, and it's just so frustrating, isn't it? And they have to lose the election.
They have to. It's either that or the precipice of something that we do not want to even explore, essentially. Because this wasn't the only bad thing that got brought up by Kemi Badenoch this week. So following on this, it was announced that a blacklist on countries of self-ID would be put in place. And this is like when countries have self-ID, any gender recognition certificates won't be recognised by the UK.
Yeah.
Questions are still being posed on what this will actually affect, especially considering that it would be impossible to tell the difference between a cis person's birth certificate and a birth certificate that had been changed. From what I'm seeing, it's I'm a bit confused on what this will affect, but from what I'm seeing, it's only like trans people who are applying for a gender recognition certificate in the UK who were previously from a country that was blacklisted and had a gender recognition certificate.
Yeah.
So if you already had a birth certificate that you could just give over, then that just completely bypasses the blacklist.
Yeah, essentially. Obviously, not all countries have self-ID as a system. There's quite a lot of countries that don't recognise trans people at all. And I think one of my concerns is for those people who have come to the UK to try and be trans because the government makes a big deal about how, equalities are very important to us and we're a world leader on LGBT rights when we're not. There was a point a good few years ago when maybe we were in the top countries in the world to be gay, and that's no longer the case.
We've slipped
so far down. How are the mighty fallen? And it's not going to stop with us, is the thing. Once they've finished subjugating and bullying trans people to their satisfaction, who's going to be next? then.
You can see the stuff with Rwanda as well, where
Yeah.
if they can ignore the European Court of Human Rights, they can then ignore the European Court of Human Rights on trans people, then, gay people, and then, down the list of all the stuff. So it's going to be, as you said, things are only just going to get worse.
For more people.
Yeah, for more people.
And there's gay Tories, right? So there's gay people who actually support and vote for the Conservative Party, which is not a mindset I understand, but...
It's basically sheep voting for the Wolf Party.
Yeah, essentially. Turkeys voted for Christmas. I never thought leopards would eat my face, said the woman who voted for the Leopards Eating People's Faces Party, who just don't seem to get that, look, you guys are on their list as well. And once they've finished with us, they're going to come for you next. Oh, no, they won't. No, they won't. That lovely, comfortable life you have, that flat, perhaps your equal marriage, however many other things that the LGBT community has won here in the UK in the last few years, all of it is under threat if the Tories get in again, because they won't stop with us.
It's that old adage. And you've seen it in the US as well. There was...
Yes.
That is a notable example of this sort of situation happening as well. It's the Don't Say Gay bill, then coming to banning gender-affirming care, then gay marriage not being recognised in a bunch of places, and...
Yep.
Well, you've seen all the other crap that they've been pushing as well down there.
Yeah.
That's just another example, and a lot of people are saying, oh, we're importing it from the US. No, it's sort of been a back and forth of importing each other's crap into a giant steaming pile of shit.
Thank you, the Heritage Foundation.
We said there was going to be more wasn't there?
Yeah, lots of teeth, lots of gnashing your teeth for this one, unfortunately. So what can we do to stop this from happening? Obviously, we are firm believers in the free and open access to information. And we recommend that you tell your cis friends and all the cis people that you know, are you aware that this is happening? Are you aware of what the government are showing that they intend to do to trans people, and then absolutely subsequently will happen to many other people as well?
I remember I was describing this to my cis friend, the Kemi Badenoch story, and he was absolutely outraged. I mean, I had to, at one point, it was sort of like, he messaged me saying Kemi's lost the right to be gendered correctly, and I had to say, not quite, that we still gender correctly, even if they're really bad. But it's that level of outrage that you're seeing from allies as well that then stirs into action. Join a trade union.
Yep.
They've got some great trade union groups. I'm part of the Unison Network for Trans Equality. They're really cool people. We talk about Doctor Who, but anyway, aside from that, they're really cool. Join a union, even if you're not actually part of a union-based thing, because they can still provide you resources, and also, well, you can join these groups and further stuff in union side of things. So that's cool.
Well, what else can you do? Press your MP, try and talk them. If you're able to attend constituency surgery or get hold of your MP, you might be, depending on who it is, you might just be like talking to a brick wall, but there's going to be quite a lot of MPs who are on the fence because they don't know enough. So let us educate them, or at least try to. There's petitions to sign. There's organisations that you can volunteer with, that you can try and help. Obviously, this is the call to action, right?
I think, as Michelle said quite a few times, just rock up to Parliament, try and stand in a lobbying place and speak to MPs. That works as well. And I just remembered as well, we're looking at What the Trans, we're looking for some writers as well, some news reporters.
Yes.
We want some people to do some writing for us on our website. We're going to provide some excellent training. I'm going to see how many trans reporters will work and would love to do talks with us, teach us some exciting things about reporting. Mm-hmm. You get to see people who are doing the actual stuff, and then you get to be writing the stuff, using our platform to help show stories. And also we've got hopefully reviving my What the News articles.
Yes.
Basically preventing people from just scrolling social media endlessly, because if we catch you up in one of these articles, you can then spend your time speaking to MPs, writing these petitions, going to those trade union stuff, and just doing stuff. So if you are interested in this stuff, do check that out as well.
Come and join us.
Yes.
Partly because, I would like for because it's all volunteer here, but we would like for some more people to involve themselves maybe a few times a week, and I personally would quite like to start bringing in some new and different voices on the presenting team. So, there'll always be two people on the podcast, but it doesn't have to be me and Alyx. So I think we'd be very interested to hear from some trans masc people, for more non-binary people, people of colour, more disabled people, because we need those voices out there and we have a platform to do that with. So if you'd be interested, or you have a friend who might be, send them our way.
Yes.
And maybe one day soon it could be you reading out the list of Patreon names.
Exactly, which we'll get onto in a second.
Yes, indeed. So that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. We'll be back. As I say, we'll put something out before Christmas, and then we'll see you all in the new year. Thanks for checking us out, and look after yourselves. Please, self-care is important. Now, if you want a little bit more information about what we were just talking about, you can get in touch with us on social media, of course. We're on Twitter at WhatTheTrans, Facebook /WhatTheTrans, Threads at WhatTheTrans. We're on Patreon, of course, if you feel like you're able to support us, or you can, share that out so other people who can. We have a few fun little bonuses for our patrons now, with more of them coming. And there's obviously our website, whatthetrans.com, which is where quite a lot of our information on our episodes and our articles gets published. So yeah, check us out and get involved. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you all very much, and goodbye.
This episode was written and produced by Ashleigh Tubb and Alyx Bedwell. Our Patreon producers are
Trowan,
Ashleigh,
Matty B,
Squidzina,
Setcat,
Jane,
Roberto De Prunk,
Rose Absolute,
Sarah,
Catherine Halkett,
Sina,
Kiki T,
Derek,
Sky Kilane,
Eric Widman,
B,
Jude,
Monsieur Squirrel,
Fergus Evans,
Anubis a Jackal,
Kamina,
Brandon Craig,
Jenny,
Break for System,
Sean Phillips,
Heidi Reardon,
Ezra,
Sophia LaSixth,
Lentil,
Philippa Teproge,
Alethea Aurora,
Sadie Chagall,
Clara Volume,
Amelia,
twitch.tv/kspacegaming,
Tabitha Joe Cox,
Fiona McDonald,
Tarakuso H,
Murgatroyd,
Ontologically Unjust,
Stella,
Syndagosa,
Rebecca Prentice,
Crazy Richard,
Dan Oblivion,
Florence Stanley,
Helen _
Chrissy Jarvis,
Welcome back to Get Back in the Skitchen today, as we'll be baking cranberry sauce. Yummy.
Nick Ross,
Alice Chalkley,
Melody Nix,
Fiona Punchard,
John,
Nick Duffy,
C.B. Bailey,
Gordon Cameron,
Ted Delphos,
Wen Riverup,
Vic Parsons,
Tila Wild,
Patreon user,
Vic Kelly,
Catherine,
Sabrina McVeigh,
Cassius Adair,
Melissa Brooks,
Ian Kuma,
Karakan 12,
April Heller,
Sophie Lewis,
Alexandra Lilly,
Claire Scott,
Ariadna Pena,
Lauren O'Nions,
Bernard's Pink Jelly Bean,
Lanos.
Chris Hubley.
Thank you to you all.